Welcome back to Tech Talk with Craig Peterson. Today we're on the floor of AdTech in New York City. We're talking about some of the technology that's in use today for advertising and marketing, the types of things that if you're involved in a business, you need to know because this is how it's being done nowadays. And if you're a consumer, you also need to know because it's coming at you differently. Really, bottom line, advertising is getting better for the consumer. That's one of the real strong messages that we're getting today at the AdTech conference. And we're going to be talking, of course, about that right now. You might have heard of SRDS before. These are the guys that have been around a long time here. It's a standard rate and data service. I've used their books before at the library. I wish I had a copy of them personally, because what they've done is they've collected newspaper, radio, magazine information about advertising. So you can go to the SRDS, and this is what you might be familiar with, and from there be able to pull out all of the information that you might want on magazines, newspapers, etc. Of course, now we're moving into a different age, and they're right on top of this. In fact, they're kind of leading the way. So many people have had troubles, and we've talked to them, we've interviewed them here on the show before, in trying to engage with their audiences because they can't necessarily find them. The eyeballs aren't on the three big networks broadcasting. The eyeballs aren't on that wonderful newspaper that's been in business for 200 years anymore, that's maybe out of business by now. The eyeballs are moving around. So that's what they're helping with here. You've, I'm sure, heard of the iPad. We've talked about it before. Samsung just came out with their own competitor to it, a tablet computer. HP's working on one. That's why they bought Palm. It's going to be coming out. There are a plethora of these things, Android-based and others, that are going to be coming out. So SRDS is now leading the way again in the iPad world here and into the tablets as we move forward. That's what we're going to be talking about right now with Steve Davis. He's a senior vice president over there. If you want to find them online, go to srds.com/tablet-media-library. I'm sure you can search for it right there from SRDS's homepage as well. Steve, welcome to Tech Talk with Craig Peterson.
Thanks, Craig. It's nice to be here.
Now let's talk a little bit about this. You've got a lot of history here. Really, SRDS is the standard out there for the print business, right? And it has been for a long time.
For all traditional media and online media. You know, when we started in 1919, it was all print business media. It was magazines, it was newspapers, it was trade journals. But as we evolved, of course, as media evolved, we were right along with it. So when television networks came out, when cable networks came out, we were there. In the early 90s, we started to collect all the websites that were selling advertising. And really, our core audience are the media buyers and planners at agencies. So they have this critical need to know what advertising opportunities exist out there. And we've always been able to deliver it to them. You know, you mentioned that you're familiar with our book. Mm-hmm. Not too many media planners are familiar with our book, I will tell you. You know, we license it through a web-based service. And, you know, that 25-year-old media planner who sits there at Universal McCann probably doesn't know SRDS has been around as long as we have, and probably doesn't know that we have a book. But that's okay. You know, we have a strong business, and really I think our overall goal has always been to make it easy to understand what opportunities are available and then make it easy for them to connect with the publishers of those properties. And right. We're going to do it again now with Tablet Media.
So you're helping both sides here because you are now, for people who are publishing, you are getting them advertising content. And one of the reasons that people have used SRDS for so many years is because they want a specific audience, and you're able to kind of break that down. Are you taking now this new media technology with the tablets and mobile devices and providing that same type of information now with the media that's available to buy and who that's going to be exposed to?
We will. I'll tell you that certainly will be the longer term plan, and that's what we did with website properties. And you know, not only are we able to categorize it and make sure that they can buy by genre or by demographic, but we also want to make sure that they can tie that website or digital property back to any traditional media. You know, media has become brand centric. They have print properties, they have online properties, and they often now are selling it as one entity, and buying is being done that way. With the iPad specifically, or with tablet media specifically, there's not quite a standardization effort underway. Right now, what we want to do is get in early and at least find those media brands who now have tablet media offerings, and we want to make sure that we can put them in one repository, one library, so that the buyers can find them.
We're speaking right now with Steve Davis. He's a Senior VP over at SRDS.com. That's where you'll find them online. And we're talking a little bit about tablets. Let's put some numbers around this here. Obviously, the money chases the audience, as it were, right? And so we have a lot of people who are buying iPads, and therefore a lot of app developers and content developers for the iPad. What kind of sales numbers or iPad stats are we really looking at here?
Yeah, and I think it's adjusting almost every day, it seems. I know the last estimate I saw was something out of iSupply, and they initially estimated when the launch was announced in the spring of this year that they thought iPad sales specifically would be just over 3 million for 2010. They revised that estimate up to 7 million, I think, in the second quarter when they saw the adoption rate take off as it did. And they put another revision, and now they're saying that by the end of the year, it'll be just under 13 million.
Wow.
And next year, they're saying it's going to be almost 36 million. This is a media that is exploding, and I think not only is it exploding in the numbers, but it's exploding in the right numbers. It's the right demographics.
It's huge.
It's the sweet spot right now,
well, and
everybody's excited about it.
And that's only the iPad, right? There's no competition yet to speak of.
I think they have 95% of the tablet media market.
And so this is just going to explode, something crazy. I also saw some stats saying that there's over 25,000 iPad apps in the iTunes store, which is, again, that's dramatic. So all of these now are potentially available for advertisers, and that's what you're really trying to pull together.
Yeah, and I think really what we're trying to do now is separate, because you're right, there's 25,000 iPad apps, but not all of them can you buy advertising on, and not all of them are affiliated with traditional media properties. And there's utility apps and there's branded apps. Really, what we've done, and we're really responding here to the needs of the advertising agencies. We are finding those media properties who are selling specific advertising opportunities on the apps and putting them in the library. Again, we're going to get into the classifications and getting a lot more ad specs around it as this media develops. But right now, the primary place for this is tablet media as defined by the iPad.
Right. It's the market, as you mentioned a little bit earlier. So you've got about 15,000 media buyers that typically use the SRDS for looking for places to buy the media. You mentioned all of these iPad apps, more than 25,000 more coming out all of the time. So are you also interested in trying to get in touch with all of these app developers and things? Can they get listed in the catalog when they develop their app?
Yeah, not so much the developer, but the publisher for sure. And that's part of the reason we're at AdTech and certainly communicating our message these days. If you are a publisher and you've got an iPad app and you are selling advertising on it, you qualify for a listing in SRDS, and we want you in. And then, as our business model works, we then want to enhance that listing in different ways. And the way it's manifesting itself within tablet media is we're going to take our user directly to the marketing materials that you have specifically around your advertising offering. Again, it's a very new media and a very difficult media to understand. So we want to bring not just our buyers to the publisher and those that are selling it, but then we want to take it even further and bring them right to specific marketing materials, specific ad spec information, et cetera.
So if you want to find out more from either side, if you're a media buyer, you're involved in an agency, or on the other side as a publisher of that information, the place to go is online to SRDS.com. In fact, you can go directly on that site to srds.com/tablet-media-library. Find out a lot more about what's going on. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the interview, SRDS is the company that has been putting together for 100 years almost,
yeah, almost,
right?
91
years. All of the information about advertising, where you can find it, and all of the background information, too, the types of things that you need to know. They are spearheading this new land rush that's occurring in the iPad space and in the more general tablet space as time goes forward. Anything else you'd like to add, Steve?
No, I think you've summed it up really well. We're excited about it. I think it really stems from the fact that the marketers are excited about it. And I was just at the American Magazine conference about 3 weeks ago, and you could see the consumer publishers are excited about it. They are on the right side of technology this time. This media is made for the content that they so expertly produce. So it's good to see traditional media kind of feeling like they've got a fighter's chance, because they certainly do with this initiative.
All right. Again, SRDS.com. Steve Davis, thanks for joining us today. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about the technology here at AdTech, what's going on out there on Tech Talk with Craig Peterson.